When we think of football, we imagine the players, the goals, the tricks, the celebrations. But sometimes, the real stories are not on the pitch. They're on the sidelines. Coaches who chain-smoked their way through matches. Coaches who spied on opponents like secret agents. And even a coach who forced his World Cup-winning team to avoid eating chicken. Today, we dive into the insane, unbelievable world of football coaches you won't believe actually existed. 1. Marcelo Bielsa, the Spy Master. Marcelo Bielsa is obsessed with details. His philosophy is built on relentless pressing, constant movement, and attacking in numbers. But to perfect this, he goes further than anyone else. At Leeds United, he admitted to sending assistants to secretly film opponents' training sessions. He called it necessary preparation, while the media called it Spygate. But the wildest moment came when he invited journalists into a press conference and revealed his process. He opened his laptop and showed spreadsheets, statistics, and video clips. He explained how he had studied 51 hours of footage on Derby County for a single match. His methods may look insane, but they work. He turned Leeds into a pressing machine that suffocated opponents and finally took them back to the Premier League. For Bielsa, football is war, and knowledge is his weapon. 2. Zdeněk Zeman, the smoker tactician. In Italy, Zdeněk Zeman was both loved and hated. His teams played kamikaze football, all-out attack, with little care for defense. He believed in vertical football, quick, direct passing, pushing fullbacks high, and overwhelming opponents with sheer numbers. His Roma team in the late 90s scored goals for fun, but also conceded like crazy. Watching them felt like chaos, but entertaining chaos. And then, there was the smoking. Zeman could light a cigarette during kickoff and still be puffing away by halftime. At his peak, he smoked 80 cigarettes a day. His training grounds and dressing rooms were filled with smoke. Some fans say his tactics were revolutionary, others say reckless. But Zeman gave Italian football a show no one could forget. An endless cloud of goals and smoke. 3. Carlos Bilardo, the superstitious winner. Carlos Bilardo wasn't just a coach. He was a scientist, a doctor, and a man obsessed with rituals. Tactically, he was one of the first to fully embrace the 3-5-2 formation, using wingbacks to stretch the game and allowing Diego Maradona freedom at the 1986 World Cup. It was bold at the time, and it won him the trophy, but his superstitions were as legendary as his tactics. He banned chicken from the team menu, convinced it brought bad luck. He forced players to sit in the same bus seats before every game. He even carried small charms, convinced they influenced results. His players joked they feared breaking one of his rituals more than losing a match. But when you're lifting the World Cup with Maradona at his peak, maybe it doesn't feel so crazy after all. 4. Guy Roux, the eternal coach. Guy Roux's story feels impossible today. He managed Auxerre for 44 years, from 1961 to 2005. When he arrived, Auxerre was a small-town amateur side. He built them brick by brick. He invested in youth development, and under him, talents like Eric Cantona and Laurent Blanc emerged. Tactically, Roux was pragmatic. He didn't believe in one philosophy. He adapted to his players and opponents. Some seasons his team was defensive and organized, others they played expansive, attacking football. The only constant was discipline. Roux controlled everything, from diet plans to curfews. Players said he felt more like a father than a coach. And after decades of patience, Auxerre finally won Ligue 1 in 1996 and later played Champions League football, against giants like Ajax and Dortmund. In an era where managers are fired after a few months, Rue's lifetime at one club feels like a fairy tale. 5. Dragan Stojkovic, the goal from the bench. Dragan Stojkovic, also known as Pixie, was once a genius playmaker. But as a coach, he became famous for a single moment of madness. In a J-League match, the ball rolled out near him. Instead of picking it up, Stojkovic stepped forward and volleyed it first time, straight into the net from 40 meters. The crowd exploded. Commentators screamed his name. For a second, it felt like he was a player again. The referee, though, wasn't impressed. He booked him with a yellow card for unsporting behavior. Beyond that viral moment, Stojkovic's teams have a clear style: possession, creativity, and flair, reflecting how he once played. Today, as coach of Serbia, he still values attacking football, but that one sideline goal will always be his most famous highlight. 6. Helenio Herrera, the master of mind games. In the 1960s, Helenio Herrera created one of the most dominant teams in history with Inter Milan. His weapon? Catenaccio. Catenaccio means doorbolt in Italian, a defensive system where the team locks down space, sits compact, and hits with devastating counterattacks. It wasn't just defense, it was an art form. Under Herrera, Inter Milan became known as La Grande Inter, conquering Europe. But tactics were only half the story. Herrera was a master of psychology. He fed his players motivational slogans. He who doesn't give everything, gives nothing. He banned alcohol, controlled diets, and once locked his squad in a monastery before big matches to keep them focused. Opponents feared playing Inter not just for the tactics, but for the mental war Herrera waged before a ball was even kicked. 7. Brian Clough, the rebel genius. Brian Clough's career was pure drama. Tactically, he was ahead of his time. He believed in simple passing football when English teams still relied on long balls and brute force. His greatest achievement came with Nottingham Forest. He took them from the second division to the first division title, and then, unbelievably, to back-to-back European Cups. No team before or since has repeated that fairy tale. But Clough was also a firestorm of personality. When he took over Leeds United, he insulted the players on his very first day, calling their previous titles dirty and undeserved. They hated him instantly. His reign lasted just 44 days. Arrogant, outspoken, but brilliant. Clough was proof that football's greatest geniuses are often the most difficult personalities. 8. Jorge Sampaoli, the tattooed madman. Before he was famous, Jorge Sampaoli was banned from a pitch in Argentina. But instead of giving up, he climbed a tree next to the training ground, shouting tactics from the branches. That story sums him up perfectly. Relentless, obsessed, and slightly mad. His tactics are pure chaos, high pressing, constant movement, and attacking with intensity. At Chile, he created one of the most aggressive pressing systems international football has ever seen. The reward? He led Chile to their first ever Copa America in 2015. On the sidelines, Sampaoli is unmissable. Tattoos, wild gestures, running up and down like a man possessed. Coaching isn't a job to him, it's a performance of pure passion. 9. Arrigo Sacchi, the outsider. Arrigo Sacchi changed football forever. When he took over AC Milan in the late 1980s, he built a team that dominated Europe with revolutionary tactics. Instead of man-marking, Sacchi used zonal defending. He pushed the defensive line high, compressed the pitch, and drilled his players in pressing as a unit. His Milan suffocated opponents and attacked with lightning speed. With players like Gullit, Van Basten and Maldini, his system destroyed Europe. But the shocking part? Sacchi never played professional football. Critics mocked him. His response became iconic. "I never rode a horse, but I can still be a jockey." He proved that you don't need to be a player to be a genius. You just need vision. 10. Diego Simeone, the Street Fighter coach. Diego Simeone is intensity personified. His Atletico Madrid teams reflect his own playing style: organized, tough, and ready for war. Tactically, he built Atletico on discipline, a compact 4-4-2, suffocating defense, and brutal counterattacks. It's not always pretty, but it's brutally effective. Under him, Atletico broke the dominance of Barcelona and Real Madrid, even reaching 2 Champions League finals. But Simeone is more than tactics. He's theater. He celebrates like a player, argues like a fan, and provokes like a street fighter. He once clashed with a ball boy, he's been sent off multiple times, and his black suit on the touchline has become iconic. Simeone shows us that sometimes the coach is the biggest warrior on the field. From chain-smoking tacticians to tree-climbing obsessives, from World Cup rituals to defensive masterminds, football has given us coaches who are as strange as they are brilliant. Because sometimes, the most unforgettable stories in football aren't scored with a ball, they're written on the sidelines. Which of these managers shocked you the most? And who else deserves to be on this list? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more insane football stories.